The undead dragon unleashes a devastating strike, shattering the ground beneath it. However, Ethan easily evades the assault, leaping over the beast and beginning to charge a potent punch. Upon impact, the blow smashes the creature's body against the floor, culminating in an explosion that scatters its flesh across the room. Ethan stands next to the carcass, looming over a pool of blood. He starts kicking it, declaring that he knows it isn't dead yet. Suddenly, the zombie dragon's ability activates, triggering the vengeful reincarnation and causing the scattered remains to stir once more. Each chunk of flesh begins to morph, sprouting fangs and eyes. At last, the sanguine devourers emerge, grotesque humanoid figures bearing the monstrous teeth and glaring eyes of the vanquished undead dragon. Ethan remains unimpressed, sneering as he calls them disgusting cockroaches. The devourers lunge forward, eager to consume their red-haired adversary. Ethan spots Huatong's sword and flips it into the air. Snatching the blade mid-flight, he infuses it with his energy, filling the chamber with a crimson glow. Ethan surges ahead, weapon in hand, and in the blink of an eye, the devourers are cleaved apart. More spawn, encircling him, but they share the same fate, cut down by Ethan's moonlight slash. At last, the lifeless husks collapse, and he exhales in relief, reassured that his skills haven't dulled. Without warning, a fissure cracks open in the floor, and a red spine erupts, hurtling toward Ethan's face. The impact lifts him high into the air as the beast's single eye gleams with delight. Yet Ethan is merely toying with it, taunting the creature to die already and stop lingering. Gripping the spine, he yanks the remains of the monster from the ground. With the carcass fully exposed, Ethan resolves to end it once and for all. Employing the hardcore leveling warrior style, art of unarmed swordsmanship, he flips the beast, executing both a vertical and horizontal slash that finally eradicates the undead foe. He stands victorious, but suddenly bursts into laughter, only to slip and crash onto the ground, biting his own tongue. Despite his cheerful expression, Ethan feels nothing but disgust at the return of his former self. To protect his friends, he once abandoned the absolute power he had attained. To restore their well-being and happiness, he reset Earth's timeline. By sheer happenstance, he became entangled in their daily lives once again. But now, the time he forcibly rewound has resumed its natural course. However, in this new reality, he was left far too weak. To safeguard his friends, he endured humiliation and sacrificed his wealth. This final memory ignites his rage. He still has unfinished business with Huatong. He seethes at the thought of killing him for daring to rob him, considering that, thanks to Ethan's efforts, Huatong lives comfortably on Earth. With a wicked grin, he decides it's better to let him live, suffering through the same torment Ethan endured before awakening. Suddenly, a system window materializes, congratulating him for being the first to defeat a double S monster. A high-tier experience box appears, and without hesitation, Ethan opens it. Overwhelmed by exhilaration, he eagerly cries out for his sweet XP. Azure comets of energy surge into his body as a euphoric grin spreads across his face, reveling in the ecstasy of leveling up. In an instant, his rank skyrockets from level 10 to level 40. Another window emerges, revealing that he has accumulated so many points from his previous playthrough that he can no longer be classified within any tier. As a result, the system unlocks all classes, allowing him to choose whichever he desires with no prerequisites. Elated, he contemplates which path to take in this new playthrough. Still staring out the window, he thinks unlocking all classes at once is a fantastic reward for completing a playthrough. Testing the system, he selects the God class but is informed that God is not available at the moment. He doesn't lose hope, though, since it said, "not at the moment." For now, Ethan still contemplates what to choose. In his previous playthrough, he was a gambler. He would only need to replicate his strategy to reclaim the top spot in no time. However, there's a significant drawback. If he dies, he'll revert to level 1. Even if he uses an item to revive, he decides to pick a different class, one that allows him to level up swiftly without excessive grinding. A wizard comes to mind. Each spell in his repertoire would be a devastating attack, even more so if he acquires a legendary grimoire. The idea of unleashing multiple spells with his immense mana pool tempts him, but not enough. He's a hardcore leveling warrior, so a standard class like wizard doesn't suit him. Now, a weapon master crosses his mind. He'd be able to wield any weapon without stat penalties, but the downside is that he'd have to farm for high-quality gear. What about a black wizard? All defeated enemies would become his loyal minions, turning him into a one-man army. Ethan remains undecided, The pressure of choosing the right path from the start feels even harder than the boss he just defeated. He starts simulating a playthrough with over 300 classes, spending way too much time until he ends up naming nonsensical ones. The system grows impatient and informs Ethan that the class selection has expired. All classes are locked again, leaving Ethan in shock as he begs the system to restore them, even promising to choose one in 3 seconds. Suddenly, another pop-up window appears, informing him that he just discovered an Easter egg. Since he didn't pick a class, the system assigns him a hidden unique one, making Ethan grin awkwardly as he tries to convince himself that he got lucky. The word jobless appears as his new class. Desperately, he asks if the system is serious, begging for a switch to gambler, but the system refuses. To shut him up, it reveals that being jobless comes with a unique perk that might be incredibly useful. Ethan is in disbelief upon reading it, considering it an overpowered ability. But we aren't shown what it is yet. Suddenly, the blocked entrance of the boss room explodes, revealing that Soo-young actually returned with reinforcements to rescue Ethan. Sitting on the floor, Ethan greets her as if nothing had happened in that room. With a grin, he casually reveals that he got a class change. She dashes toward him, embracing him while sobbing. She's beyond relieved to find out that he's still alive. She adds that he can ask for anything. After all, she owes him her life. He admits he has a request he can no longer hold back and apologizes in advance. Still crying, she blushes slightly, trying to figure out what he wants from her. With a manic expression, Ethan asks her to call him a taxi. He needs to visit Hwatong's guild to beat his ass. Soo-young is left completely dumbfounded. We are transported to Seoul, to the Yom Guild HQ. Ethan finally arrives in his taxi, amazed at how much money the guild makes by scamming people. He spots 2 buff guards at the entrance and approaches them, asking them to tell Hwatong to meet him downstairs. One of the guards steps forward, demanding to know who he is and which guild he belongs to. Ethan simply introduces himself and asks again if he can deliver the message. This infuriates the guard, who throws a powerful punch at him for his audacity. Ethan doesn't flinch and counters with a casual kick, sending the guard flying through the entrance of the building. He steps inside like he owns the place and for the last time asks if anyone knows Hwatong. No one bothers to answer, they just charge at him, weapons drawn. Ethan merely sighs, fully aware that things were going to escalate. After single-handedly beating all the guards, he approaches the secretary and asks where Hwatong is. Sweating bullets, the girl stammers that he's in a meeting with the guildmaster at the top floor. The elevator doors open, revealing yet another wave of guards, and with no other choice, Ethan ends up dealing with them as well. At the guildmaster's office, the phone rings. The secretary informs the master that someone is demanding to see him. Yumtong Kim, a level 70 elementalist and guildmaster of Yum Guild, is currently in a meeting with Hwatong, who turns out to be his younger brother. Yumtong insists that a triple S boss appearing in a D-rated dungeon is impossible. Suddenly, Ethan slams the door open, startling Hwatong, who doesn't recognize him at first. Ethan reminds him that he was the client he abandoned in the dungeon. Hwatong is dumbfounded. He can't believe this is the same moron he scammed for $5,000. He starts sweating, unable to process that Ethan not only survived, but also defeated the double S boss. Ethan confirms it with a murderous glare, declaring that he came back from hell just to take his life. Yumtong rises from his seat, telling Ethan to mind his manners. He doesn't care about the past, but he won't tolerate Ethan disrespecting his younger brother. Ignoring him completely, Ethan whacks Hwatong's head, squishing him like an accordion while questioning why he wasn't raised properly. Ethan wasn't even aware of his own strength, slightly horrified at how uglier Hwatong just became. Yumtong, now furious, unleashes a powerful fireball, causing the floor to explode beneath them. He activates his Flame Emperor armor and swears to burn Ethan from head to toe. Ethan, unfazed, mumbles that Yumtong should just give his money back if he doesn't want to end up like his brother. Yumtong prepares his boom boom ball, ready to incinerate Ethan's face. However, before he can launch it, Ethan whacks him too, blaming him for global warming. Just like that, the Flame Emperor armor shatters. Not even $1 million set of armor could withstand Ethan's strike. Even in defeat, Yumtong threatens Ethan, warning that the player union will come after him. Stepping on his head, Ethan reminds him that he doesn't care. Instead, he asks for the password to the safe he noticed in the corner. Yumtong refuses, but instead of forcing him, Ethan casually approaches the safe. He comments that he would have only taken half if Yumtong had cooperated. With a single motion, Ethan rips the safe door off, sending metal fragments flying. Yumtong watches in horror, unable to believe that someone could physically destroy a titanium alloy safe. Struggling to stand, he begs Ethan not to take the money, warning that others will come after him. Ethan hurls the safe door at him, embedding it into the wall. Yumtong, now trembling, pisses himself as Ethan coldly reminds him that that's not his problem. After all, they didn't care when they were robbing innocent players. The gold inside shines like a radiant sun, making Ethan grin with excitement. Looking around for something to carry the loot, he spots a golf bag, stuffs it full, and casually walks out, completely ignoring the firefighters rushing in. Something nags at him. It feels like he's forgetting something. Finally, he remembers. He wanted a popsicle because that room was a damn inferno. While eating it, the feeling persists. But no matter how hard he thinks, the memory remains locked. Suddenly, his phone buzzes. It's a call from Sora. She desperately pleads for Ethan's help. Ariam is in critical condition. Ethan's popsicle falls from his hand as he sprints toward the hospital. He knows that Ariam will die in a few days because time has started flowing again. We are taken to the Giga Medical Center in Seoul. The physician overseeing Ariam is bewildered. He cannot comprehend how someone with those symptoms is still breathing. Even though in this new world, a healing spell surpasses modern medicine, he refuses to surrender and instructs the nurses to transfer her to an operating room. Sora sobs in the background, pleading for Ariam to keep fighting and not abandon her. Her vital signs begin to deteriorate, becoming more erratic by the second. Suddenly, Ethan bursts into the room, shattering the window where Ariam was being kept. The doctor and nurses yell at him, demanding to know who he is and why he entered the hospital in such a manner. Ethan simply states that he is her guardian, while the doctor continues shouting, exasperated that they are running out of time and he is only worsening the situation. Ethan remains silent. On his way there, he had been contemplating Ariam's predicament and concluded that she wasn't ill. In truth, she was vanishing due to a temporal paradox. Sora steps into the room, catching Ethan's attention. She has also undergone a transformation, but she is even more surprised by Ethan's altered appearance. He asks her if she now recalls things she had forgotten long ago, but she denies it, clarifying that Ethan is the only one who managed to reload his past self. With pain in her expression, she reveals that Ariam's condition deteriorated when her appearance changed into that of her player. She had been fine a couple of days before, eating and talking as always. But after a pop-up window announced that the Earth server had switched to hard mode, they couldn't believe how drastically their appearance shifted. She had been thrilled by the fact that their levels were no longer capped at 10, excited that they could finally grow stronger together. But suddenly, Ariam started coughing up blood, to the point that Sora feared she was going to die. Ethan grabs the golf bag and hands it to the doctor as payment for the remainder of Ariam's medical expenses. Deep inside, he knows that the 5 years he rewound were merely a fleeting illusion. Ariam hadn't survived in the original timeline, but thanks to Ethan's sacrifice, she was given another chance. Now that time has resumed its natural course, she is in critical condition because, in reality, she was meant to be dead. The pain is unbearable. Ethan himself doesn't know if there's anything he can do to save her. Sora implores him, desperately seeking words of reassurance that Ariam will pull through. But he is in no position to offer hope. What's the point of having all his stats maximized if he cannot even save a friend? One of the nurses wheels Ariam's bed toward the surgery room before it's too late. Sora tries to convince herself that there must still be a way to save Ariam. There are dragons in the sky, people breathing fire. She screams in frustration, questioning why a miracle won't happen when they are in a game where anything should be possible. That cry strikes Ethan's mind like lightning. That's right, they are inside a game. So perhaps there's a rule that could apply to this scenario. They've been trapped in a world game resembling Lucid Adventure, the original game. He recalls that in Lucid Adventure, the Python's dungeon was located next to another called the Deep Sea. And by coincidence, an underwater dungeon was recently discovered near the one he had just cleared. Perhaps the solution lies there. Ethan praises Sora. Even without her memories, she remains incredible as always, giving him strength at his lowest. He vows to save Ariam, assuring Sora not to worry. He will return soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.